$5, just $5. That's less than your morning coffee, much less. Less than a gallon of gas. Less than the tip you leave at a restaurant. $5 for a brand new t-shirt. And here's the thing, you probably didn't even think twice when you bought it. Neither did I, not even for a second. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Because that t-shirt, it didn't start at the store. And it definitely doesn't end when you throw it away. It has a story. A dark one. And it starts somewhere most of us will never see. In the fields of Uzbekistan under a burning Central Asian sun. This is the Aral Sea. Or rather, on what's left of it. Once the fourth largest lake in the world, and it covered 68,000 square kilometers. Then cotton farming happened. The Aral Sea once spanned 68,000 square kilometers. Fishermen built their lives here. Children played on its shores. Entire communities depended on it. In the 1960s, Soviet irrigation projects began diverting the rivers that fed this lake, just to grow more cotton. More cotton, more fabric, more clothes. By the 2000s, the Aral Sea had lost nearly 90% of its water. The fishing industry evaporated. The towns died. And today, locals breathe toxic dust laced with pesticides, dust that blows off the dead lakebed and causes tuberculosis, cancer, and kidney disease. All of that for fabric. Right now, somewhere in Uzbekistan, India, or Pakistan, a farmer is bent over a cotton plant pulling bolls by hand. Cotton covers just 2.3% of the world's farmland, but it drinks 16% of the world's insecticides and 7% of all pesticides globally. 1 kilogram of cotton, and enough for maybe one t-shirt, takes up to 10,000 liters of water to produce. That's roughly what one person drinks in 10 years, for one shirt.
And the farmers growing it? Many don't even own the land. They work on contracts that keep them in debt, spraying chemicals without proper protection, breathing pesticides that their bodies were never built to handle.
But wait, maybe your shirt isn't cotton, maybe it's polyester, that's better, right? Oh, it's not. Polyester is made from fossil fuels, oil. Over 70 million barrels of oil per year for fashion alone, twice the emissions of cotton, and it sheds microplastics in every wash. It's not better. Let me introduce you to someone. Her name is Rima. She's 24 years old. She wakes up at 5:30 every morning in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and she walks to a garment factory where she will sit at a sewing machine for the next 14 to 16 hours. She sews the same seam, over and over, hundreds of times a day. She earns around $73 a month. That's the legal minimum wage for garment workers in Bangladesh. And the leggings she makes? They retail for more than her entire monthly salary. Bangladesh is the second largest clothing producer in the world after China. It has more than 8,000 garment factories and over 4 million workers, mostly young women, stitching clothes for brands that you know and shop at every week. Zara, H&M Gap, Primark. And here's something that the European Parliament itself has said out loud. The conditions these workers face have been described as slave labor. Less than 2% of garment workers globally earn a living wage. Some work 7 days a week. Some work until 2 or 3 in the morning during peak season. And in some factories, 8,000 synthetic chemicals are used in production. Chemicals that cause cancer, and the workers breathe them in every single day without protection. And then there's Rana Plaza, April 24, 2013, Dhaka, Bangladesh. The day before the collapse, workers noticed huge cracks running down the walls of their building. They were afraid. They told their supervisors. They asked to stay home. They were told, come in or lose your job. The next morning, the building fell. 1,134 people were killed. Over 2,500 were injured. Most of them were young women. Most of them were supporting families. And most of the brands whose clothes were being made in that building, they walked away. More than a decade later, 91% of Bangladeshi garment workers still can't afford enough food for themselves and their families. Protests happen, workers get fired, sometimes attacked, and the clothes keep getting cheaper. Now your shirt has to travel. It was designed in New York. The cotton was grown in Uzbekistan. The yarn was spun in India. The fabric was woven in China. It was dyed in Bangladesh, stitched in Vietnam, and packaged in Cambodia. Every one of those steps adds a little more carbon to the atmosphere. By the time a single garment reaches a store in the United States or Europe, it may have traveled more than 25,000 miles. Here's a question I want you to think about honestly. How many shirts are in your closet right now that you haven't worn in 6 months? Don't lie, we all have them. Studies show that the average person today buys 60% more clothing than they did in the year 2000, and keeps each item for only half as long. Most fast fashion items are worn fewer than 10 times before they're discarded. Some are worn just once, for a photo, for an Instagram post, for a TikTok moment, and that's not an accident, it's by design. Shein, the world's biggest fast fashion brand, uploads an estimated 1,000 new styles every single day. Each style manufactured in batches of 50 to 100 pieces. Minimum 50,000 new garments entering the world, every day, from one brand alone. The business model isn't just selling you clothes. It's selling you the feeling of being in style, a feeling designed to last about 3 weeks, until the algorithm shows you something new. Social media is the engine. Influencer haul videos, outfit of the day flash sales, trending sounds with trending outfits. It's all designed to make you feel like what you have isn't enough. And the brands know it. They've engineered it. The average American now throws away around 80 pounds of clothing per year. That's like throwing away a small person's worth of fabric annually from every household in the country. And psychologically, there's something happening to us too. We're buying more and feeling worse. Research shows that compulsive fast fashion shopping is linked to anxiety, identity confusion, and financial stress, especially in young people. We're using clothes to fill an emotional hole that clothes can never actually fill. And after 7 to 10 wears, and the shirt is done for you anyway. But for the planet, its life is just beginning. This is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, one of the most stunning otherworldly places on Earth. So remote and dry that NASA tests Mars rovers here. So clear that tourists come from around the world just to stargaze. And now it's also the world's fast fashion graveyard. Every year, around 59,000 tons of secondhand and unsold clothing arrive in Chile at the port of Iquique, shipped from Europe, Asia, and the United States. About 20,000 tons get resold. The rest? 39,000 tons of clothes every single year dumped in the desert. Some of them still have the tags on. Clothes from brands you're wearing right now. Sitting in piles stories high, baking under the desert sun, blowing toxic synthetic fibers into the air that people in nearby towns breathe every single day. Carla Avalis, a local resident, says she can smell burning plastic from her home. That smell comes from when the clothing mounds are set on fire. And it's not just Chile, Ghana, India, Tanzania, Pakistan. Across the global south, mountains of unwanted Western clothing pile up on beaches, in fields, around villages, creating environmental catastrophe in communities that never asked for it and never profited from any of it. The fashion industry produces 92 million tons of textile waste every year. By 2030, that number is expected to hit 134 million tons. And recycling? Let's be honest about recycling. Less than 1% of clothing is ever recycled into new clothing. Less than 1%. The recycling bins at H&M and other brands? Most of that goes to downcycled low-grade insulation or industrial rags, or straight to landfill anyway. The microplastics that wash off synthetic clothes during laundry? They're now the 4th largest source of plastic pollution in our oceans. They've been found inside fish, inside sea salt, inside human blood. And a polyester shirt in a landfill? It won't fully break down for 200 years, long after you're gone, long after your children are gone, that shirt will still be here. So here's where we are. A $5 t-shirt cost a C. It cost a woman in Bangladesh her health, her safety, maybe her life. It cost 25,000 miles of carbon pollution just to reach a shelf. It was worn 3 times. And now it's sitting in a desert in Chile, burning. The tag said $5. But the real price, it was paid by people who will never wear it. By rivers that no longer exist, by communities breathing toxic air a world away, by children who will inherit a planet drowning in our discarded trends. The real price was paid by someone else. Now, I'm not here to make you feel guilty. Guilt without action is useless, but I am asking you to see it because once you see it, really see it, you can't unsee it. And that changes things. You don't have to become perfect overnight, but you can ask a different question next time you're about to click add to cart. Not, can I afford this? But, Can the planet afford this? Buy less. Buy better. Buy secondhand. Repair what you have. Rent for special occasions. Support brands that publish their full supply chain and punish the ones that don't. And share this video. Because every person who sees this is one more person who knows. The tag said $5. Now you know what it actually cost. Brought to you by the Life Audit. Thank you for watching.